listen to Democrats, they won't even vote for this. In the next 10 years, we will pay as Americans, the hardworking taxpayers, over $10.5 trillion on interest. This is interest on the debt. To put that in perspective, since 1940 till today, in the last 80 years, we've only paid $9 trillion in interest. That is why this budget is not serious.
And that was the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, with me yesterday on Sunday Morning Future, saying that President Biden's fiscal year 2024 budget will not pass. Biden proposing his massive $6.8 trillion budget last week, reigniting the debt ceiling debate, promising higher taxes and more spending. Republicans are slamming the plan. It includes more than $5.5 trillion in tax increases over the coming 10 years. Joining me right now is Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson. He's House Republican Conference Vice Chairman and a member of the Judiciary and Armed Services Committees. He's also a member of the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the federal government. Congressman, it's good to see you today. Thanks very much for being here. We want to get into the weaponization of government, but the word this morning is all about the economy with this backstop by regulators and the Silicon Valley Bank fallout. Your reaction there, and what about this president's budget?
These are very serious times, Maria. There's a lot of uncertainty. Yesterday, we had an emergency conference call, Zoom call, with all members of the House and Senate in both parties, and we had many more questions than answers that were provided. There was only an hour for the Zoom call, and they ended it abruptly. Frankly, none of us knew really what was going to happen overnight. We're grateful that the emergency has subsided apparently this morning, but these are uncertain times. And in the face of all this, here's the President Biden and his administration that have just wrecked the U.S. economy. I mean, we've had the 14, 15 months sustained of the 40-year high inflation. And now he's proposing all of these trillions of dollars in new taxes and spending. If his budget were enacted, it would ensure that we have at a sustained level the highest levels of taxes and deficits and debt in American history. We can't go along with it. We won't. It's dead on arrival. But it shows how out of place their priorities are. And it's really just a staggering thing to look at.
Well, we're expecting that this is not going to pass, but what is the framework for a budget and a plan to fix some of these programs that are going insolvent, like Social Security?
Well, in the House Republican majority, we have been working on that, obviously, even before we got the gavels. I interviewed for my own podcast on Friday, Jody Arrington, my dear friend, who is the Republican chairman of the House Budget Committee, and they are working around the clock. He'd had very little sleep last week. All of our colleagues putting their heads together. We've got all the leaders across the conference together working on this daily to propose a budget that makes sense, where we can sustain these programs, Social Security and Medicare, for example. They're in trouble right now. As you know, they'll go bankrupt within about a decade, this window. In the face of that, of course, the president is trying to increase spending and add more trillions to the deficit. We're looking at, if this budget were enacted, and if we don't do something to change it on this trajectory, as you know, Maria, we're going to have $2 trillion deficits in about a decade, every year, annually.
Yeah.
We're not on a trajectory that will work, so we have to fix it. We're serious about that.
Yeah, let's remind people that HSBC is going to be buying the Silicon Valley Bank's UK business, Liz Peek. I know that regulators have averted a massive panic this morning by backstopping all of this, but I don't think this is going to stop some people from switching money and try to take their deposits and put them somewhere else. There's still a lot of nervousness out there, Liz.
Well, and it's also financial incentive, Maria. I mean, I was going to ask the congressman, is there any understanding in the Democratic caucus that it is basically high spending leading to high inflation that has led to the disruptions we've seen in the markets? I mean, this is, everybody sort of turned away last year. We had the worst bond market in history last year. And guess what? That caused all kinds of problems with bank holdings and bank balance sheets. And we can trace it right back to all this spending and inflation. Do they have any sense that a $6.8 trillion budget is not the way to go right now?
I think a small number of Democrats understand that. But the problem is, as you all well know, is that some of our colleagues, a growing number of them, subscribe to modern monetary theory. And they pretend that debt doesn't matter, that deficits don't matter, that, we own the printing presses, as some of them will say to us in the hallways of Congress. Why are you guys worried? We can just print more money. I mean, really, it's fantasy economics, and a lot of them subscribe to that, and that explains the problem. We have got to get control of this, because if the Democrats were in charge in the Biden administration, as you've seen from his budget, they would just continue the trend.
And investors are reacting. We are looking at a market that is worsening. I want to switch gears, ask you about the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Government. You're holding a hearing on the Twitter files last week as a member of that subcommittee. I want to get your take on how the Biden laptop fits into all of this. Here's James Comer, who joined me yesterday, the chairman of the Oversight Committee. Watch.
Since we've last spoken, we actually have bank records in hand. In the last 2 weeks, we've met with either these individuals personally or with their attorneys, and that would be 4 individuals who had ties in with the Biden family on their various schemes around the world. So now we have in hand documents that show just exactly how the Biden family was getting money from the Chinese Communist Party. And I will tell you, it's as bad as we thought.
Congressman, your reaction, does this also fall under your purview because the FBI knew about it, right? The FBI was sitting on the Hunter Biden laptop since October of last year, of 2019, rather, pardon me.
They did know about it, and what we know for a fact that came out in our hearing on Thursday is that for at least a few years now, the FBI has been colluding directly with the social media platforms, these giant companies that control the release of information. And they censored and silenced viewpoints they disagreed with, and they certainly censored and silenced the spread of the true information about the Biden laptop scandal. That had a huge implication, we think, on those election cycles in 2020 and 2022. And we've got to make sure that they're not violating the First Amendment every day. And that's become a practice now by the agencies of the federal government.
Congressman, thank you. We'll be watching. Congressman Mike Johnson, we've got breaking news happening throughout the morning this morning. We want to watch these markets, which now are negative. Dow Industrial's down 83 points right now.